This is the beginning of part B on the color red. Now, in the demonstrations on red so far and to the end, I've used colors that have no hazard label associated with them. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to use a color that does have a hazard label associated with it. It's the cadmium reds. And the reason why I'm doing this at the end is because these cadmium reds all have the same color index number, and I want to show you the difference in the color, in the shades of color. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up and conclude with part B. 19. That's what I would learn, not much sure. Okay. This color here, let's put it on there, and I'll move along as fast as I can. It does, it has a pinkish tone to it. It's still a nice color. And this is pigment red 209. Now, what they call this, the actual title for the pigment that's printed on this, is quinacridone yellow red. But it is PR 209. I'm going to take another color now, which has the same color index number. Different manufacturer. It's called cherry red, with in parentheses quinacridone red, PR 209. Pretty close. And as you can see, different name, pretty much the same color. Cherry red, quinacridone red, PR 209, PR 209, quinacridone coral. We'll go to two of them, well, one of the more popular colors, which is reds, which is alizarin crimson. A lot of people use that. You have to be careful with alizarin crimson. It has a tendency, depending on the manufacturer and the time in history when it was manufactured, to not be light fast. And let me throw one up here. This is permanent alizarin crimson, and the pigment has no color index number, so that means it's a relatively new formulation. But when we put it up here, you can see that this definitely has a shift to the blues. It has a little purplish tint to it. So I'll label that too. And we're going to get another natural color in here now. Well, really now, it's quinacridone burnt scarlet. And see how close it looks to this alizarin crimson. As you can see, it's a lot more intense. And really, to me, this one has more of the look of the garnet, the natural garnet color, or maybe PR2 to say, but I think it comes closer to garnet. And that's called quinacridone burnt scarlet. And that PR number on that is 206. Same as this one. Red fuchsia. Quinacridone fuchsia. Same as this one, 206, 206. There's a difference. You can tell the difference. Be careful with these numbers. My two candidates for reddish red. Perylene red. PR 178. If I was just going to put a red on my palette, it would probably be this one. I like it. It doesn't seem to shift too much. Maybe a little bit to the blue, but not a whole lot. Something I could live with. So this is PR 178. Pigment red. The last one. This is called permanent red. This is PR 112. And it's not too bad, in my opinion. A little more transparent. And when I put it on there, it feels more like a dye than a pigment. It has a lot of, it's very fluid. And that particular one, PR 112. Now that's just a demonstration. There's literally hundreds of different types of pigments that you can get. Now, before I finish this demonstration, I want to show you something. All pigments, all of them, all watercolor pigments, without exception, dry lighter than when you put them on. I'm going to hit it with the air dryer a little bit, and you could have one of these. And see if it changes a little bit. You can do that while I'm going to get it. Okay. You can see the various reds. Pick the reds you want. If you're just going to use them for the color alone, with no consideration for the characteristics, you just want to use, and I did for many years, use only 3 colors, red, blue, yellow, and then a portion, throw in black and white. Pick your one that doesn't shift to one side or the other. I don't have any here that shift to the orange too much. Maybe this one will do. But in my case, I would pick probably this one or this one. I want to wrap up part B by talking about the cadmium reds. I did this solely because of what I told you earlier about the color index number being the same. This is pigment red 108, and these are the various colors, shades, hues, whatever you want to say, relative to pigment red 108. Cadmium red light, deep, orange, purple, and vermilion. I like working with the cads. They go on smooth. They have a nice feel when you put them on. This cadmium red deep would be a good candidate for your basic red on your palette, and then you can mix yellows with the rest of this. The last thing, I told you there's a pigment red 206 and a pigment red 206. 2 different color names. The difference here being that this granulates a lot more than this one does here. It makes me want to question whether they're both the same pigment or not. But anyway, this is just a brief outline of the reds. You can study a lot of them and enjoy. It's a beautiful color.